A very good evening to you and welcome to Power Brief. Tonight we look into the public order standoff that was brought out the other day by the head of public service Joseph Kinyua as per the advice from the National Security Advisory Council, where proper directions were given to politicians and every other person who wants to hold a public rally. Since then, we've had a number of complaints from different quarters and especially from this political side that is allied to the Deputy President William Ruto. On the show tonight, we are joined by Mr. Amos Okech, who is a politician, and we're also joined by Mr. Zach Babere Mosabi, who is a youth leader and also a politician. Remember, this conversation is also live on our Facebook page, CAC TV Kenya, and our YouTube channel, CAC TV Kenya. My name is Cornelius Omuse, and I welcome you to join us in this conversation that will help you understand the part of the law and this order from the National Security Advisory Council and its implications in the current political temperatures in Kenya and the 2022 succession politics. Gentlemen, welcome to Power Brief tonight.
Thank you.
Mr. Zach, it's been a while since you are here, and also Mr. Okech, it is your first time to be here. And this week, from Monday, we've been seeing students going back to school. That is the grade 4, class 8, and the form 4. But some of the feedback that has been coming, when you look at the social media, you see a number of comments, like I just saw another school in Trans Nzoia, students, pupils sitting on the floor with no desks, and a few days before they went back to school, there was this issue that pesa imetolewa some billions. So generally, we want to see and also hear your feedback from your localities and what you've been following. Was it time for students to go back to school, beginning with Mr. Zach?
My friend Omose, I can say, you allow me speak things as they are in our nation. I know sometimes there is that according to the rules that you have said, the public security rules that have been issued, there is that media where it is also being limited. We'll come back
We are
there.
going there.
So it's not time yet for the schools to be reopened. Imagine today, as I was coming here, I was able to show my driver something. Like there's a photo in Twitter, some students sitting on the floor. And I wonder, on the floor to create the social distance. And I wonder, is this the current Kenya we are in this century? And then you can realize that now, if these students are sitting down this way, the government was not prepared. Secondly, we cannot pretend that we are able to control students in social distance in school. So it is not yet time. The problem we are having in this nation, if I could be the president today, I could have sacked the cabinet secretary of education. From how COVID this thing started, the cabinet secretary has been so much confused, claiming now after he realized that what have I said, he changed the balls to the media, that it's the media announcing things. No, this man is not a performer. That's what the president knows, and the president knows he's not a performer. It's not yet to open our schools. And the cases they now keep on rising. You can realize about the cases. Yesterday, cases were around 300. 300 cases, and you are opening a school saying that by 26th, all classes should have opened from kindergarten to class 8. For university students, they are able to conduct themselves. But for high school, and high school from form 1 to form 3, they are not yet. Because the only what they could have done, allow the candidates to go to school. But it's not the end of the world for we not allowing our students to stay back at home. And there was a confusion to parents. Let me hope no any parent will be asked to pay school fee. People were sacked. People lost their jobs. There was a lot of things that the businesses were not picking on well. Now, mtoto amerudi shule. You expect again saying, we need school fee. And this parent doesn't have money. They had prepared them for January. And that's what the parent knew. As I conclude, there is this issue of the cabinet secretary again saying, the students, all parents will prepare and buy face mask for their students. for their kids when they're going back to school. Remember, there was money that was set aside when the cabinet secretary was going around that they want to produce more face masks for preparation of opening the schools. Now that the face masks, it will be given to needy students. How will you differentiate a needy student and that one who is not needy?
Thank you, Mr.
How
Zach.
will you
Ms. Okech will help us to differentiate between a needy student and an unneedy student. So let's also hear your brief overview on this matter of going back to school in phases.
My brother, I grew up in a village setup, and my school, where I went to Kaumo Primary School, is a public primary school, and I can remember till today there are still no enough classrooms for students, pupils to just join in and study. Because you did realize when the NATS was talking and then they were saying they don't even have, the schools are not, the infrastructure of the schools are not able to even accommodate the number that we have right now. Mm-hmm. So when it's now becoming to social distancing and all that, unless we want to tell Kenyans that the COVID was a joke, mm-hmm. then we can tell Kenyans that we are now going to have our pupils back in classes by end of this year. Unless we are telling Kenyans, COVID, mm-hmm. this was something that was never in existence. Because if you look at the guidelines mm-hmm. that are there, which some of them are still in existence, they are not adhered to completely. Come to now the school setups. My friend, I can tell you a larger percentage of the schools that we have today do not have infrastructure that can support mm-hmm. The containment measures of COVID. Mm-hmm. So from there we are done. Mm-hmm. So either we flatten the curve, if we are honest with ourselves that there is Corona, COVID-19, mm-hmm. we flatten the curve and we will allow our pupils to go back. Because today, the Kenyan government is still not done enough in improving infrastructure of the schools. Go to local primary schools, leave alone the towns. Get out of this place. Go to the local schools and look at the population in those schools. Today, if a class has 500 pupils, that 500 pupils in a small class, a room like the studio we have today here, how many do you expect to be in those classes? What kind of distance? The chairs, today you've shown, and it was Sakila and Sakas mentioned it, are people sitting down? Are we really saying that is the kind of we get there?
Before they went back to school, there was that 1.6 billion which was released for desks. Were those desks made or they are still in the process?
I want to tell you, my brother, that the Kenyan government has a system that works for them. Kenyan people are people that you come and show them, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do it this way, and you disappear. And they also lose track of even asking you. Mm-hmm.
And then the Bishop of Suleiman comes.
Let me tell you, not even this. Let's just go back a little bit. Mm-hmm. Talk about the computer. Mm-hmm. Where are they? Do we have computers in our schools, primary schools? Mm-hmm. It's not there. How many billions are there? Mm-hmm. So much amount of money that was put in that computer thing, mm-hmm. laptop mm-hmm. project, mm-hmm. disappeared, mm-hmm. and it's no longer there. Mm-hmm. We come about the desk thing. My friend, these things are going to be made a few ones for demonstration that the secretary usually go mm-hmm. and sit on a desk that is made and it's done. Those things do not reach. I've been a chair mm-hmm. of a committee of a primary school board, mm-hmm. and I can tell you that even the money that gets school, mm-hmm. my friend, that money is divided until when it gets to school is a minute. Even the one with free education that is.
We shall have a day for education and then we shall look into that. Okay. But what is coming out clearly is that as schools have been reopened, there are so many challenges that are facing students, and therefore it calls upon all stakeholders, the Ministry of Education, to relook into it and find solutions to that. Now we come into the hot topic tonight, Mr. Zach, about the new public order. After the skirmishes that took place at Kenol, the following few days, the head of public service, that is Joseph Kinyua, came out and read the resolutions of the National Security Advisory Council. But before everything went far, kelele zingine zikatokea, and it's getting hotter, louder and warmer every day. Like 2 days ago we saw Kimani Ichung'wah, the MP for Kikuyu, talking of prepare those bullets, prepare those tear gas, we are ready for you. So generally, beginning from Mr. Zach, before we go into the details of what really came out from the National Security Advisory Council, has this thing been pushed out of, blown out of proportion? Have the politicians understood it? Ama ni ule msemo ambao huko kwa Afrika wanasema ati sijui there's a type of an animal ukiinua fimbo hivi before it even sees who wants to, then the noises come. Have people really understood what the content of the NSAC, or where is the problem coming from?
You know, if I take you back, for you to realize that nobody has realized by now why are the guidelines there. What are they targeting a specific person? Because it tells another team to think, or me as a common mwananchi think. What happened in Kenol, it was a game play for these measures to come. It was planned for these measures to come in place. Because walikuwa nashindwa, how will we come with these measures? So somebody made this arrangement and they came up with a plan to cause some chaos. The moment you throw for our wananchi a tear gas, there will be chaos because of the tear gas. Was the tear gas just thrown? People are just somewhere, then someone came and threw the tear gas, or those skirmishes, or the police were coming to contain everything was okay until when the policemen tried to confront the common mwananchi because of their support to the deputy president. A common mwananchi who was just standing somewhere or congregating, or there were commotions of citizens fighting. You can let me witness from a clip that was circulating in social media, some lady saying how they were paid, and the people who paid them, they were known, they were mentioned in that clip, that to cause chaos. So it's like the police, they knew. Because I told you, they have the machineries to know what's going to happen. The president receives a news report every single day. The security team, they know everything that's going to happen there. So, if they knew, why could they not prevent it? Because you cannot tell me that the president didn't know there's something like that was going to happen in Kenol. This is something that was downplayed. And since the deputy has been neglected and pushed away from the government committees, he has been kept like he's no longer deputy president, but our deputy president by the people of Kenya, but not by the government of Kenya. He could not know much about the planned event of the planned chaos, because the deputy, being a man of the people and a person with integrity, I'm assuring you, my friend Omuse, he could not have attended the event. It also caught him off guard. He was able to smell that tear gas. He was there when he was in the church. The tear gas was thrown in. Leave alone all these things that the deputy president was on the way to Kenol when the chaos and the tear gas happened. No. The deputy was there when these things were happening. And they were trying, like, this is a second in command. It's very painful for the president or the cabinet secretary who is in charge of security,
we shall come
ordering for that.
Mr.
So it's very painful.
Zach, because I think the security agencies may be looking into that. But again, I get to Mr. Okech. The contents of the statement that came out from Kinyua the other day. Have politicians, especially whom it was touching on them on a higher percentage, have they taken their time to look into each and every content and what it aims at, or it's just a matter of reaction or tactics?
Mr. Mose, I can tell you for a fact that what happened, let me just give you a little bit of what I saw for myself and looked at it. And I told you this was a choreographed event that was meant to happen the way it happened, because there were two opposing sides. The people that would really want DP to be here, and the people who did not want DP to be here. So it was to bring a commotion. so that we can really take an action. Because I don't really think where the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya is to attend an event. By just coming to attend the event is a command for the discipline forces, the police, to be able to ensure there is law and order and there is peace. So if that didn't happen to a level that people start fighting in an event where the second command is coming to address or to officiate at the function, then that tells you critically that there is a gap in the government, and it shows a lot of lack of respect for the position that the deputy president holds. Two, let me just give you now the action that was taken, and answering your question. The content, as cited by Kinyua, and I looked at it critically, was meant to address a specific interest. The popularity of DP Ruto is skyrocketing. It's going so high, and it's based on a revolutionary aspect of hustler versus the dynasties. And the hustler movement has really touched the hearts of young people, who forms a percentage of 75%, according to the statistics that we got from census. 75% are below 35. And these are people who struggle every single day in their life to make both ends meet, because the government promised them so many things that didn't appear. So they're struggling with life. Some of them left school. The school also system of government we are in today are developing consumers, not the creators. So we leave out, you need to get a job, there is no job. You get into small kibarua, you start using your hand, mkokoteni thing. So the government is looking at the popularity as a tool, using a hustler movement as a tool to woo young people to his cause. And this is not really good for the other side, which is the Kileweke and the Team BBI, is not really resonating with them. So they're looking at the action as one that are trying to put the young people of this country against the system, which we know is the government. That the government is not doing enough. So it's like neglected the people, so the people can be supported on this, and then there is a vision that come 2022 we will be in the system, so the government will be ours. So this resonates with many young people today, and I can tell you a number of young people. Go to social media if you want to know really that the hustler movement, the hustler tag, has taken the president. So they want to control it. By controlling it, if you look at the section, the part 3 of the statement that was given, it was geared to invoke both the National Cohesion and Integration Act, citing of offensive, abusive, insulting, misleading, confused. So those are things which are meant to tag this movement as a movement that is misleading, that there is a dynasty versus hustler, there are people who have been neglected. So the government, the machineries are trying to make it difficult for them.
Let's look into something here, Mr. Zach and Mr. Okech.
Yes.
To the run-up of 2007 elections that was marred with violence, we saw politicians, and in some parts you could see some leaflets being thrown saying some communities must move out of this place to another place. It actually began as a joke, but when things went the other side, the country actually was almost actually being brought down by the chaos. And some of the things that were coming up were some of these speeches. The speeches that were inciting people that if people do not come maybe from this area, some of them were being spoken in coded languages. Don't you think that the government in its own wisdom took that initiative to prevent a repeat of what happened in the year 2007, 2008, Mr. Zach? Because history teaches the future. History shows us the present and where people are going. When you saw someone walking using a particular style sometime and then akaanguka kwa shimo, ukimwona saizi pia inatokea hivyo. Don't you think the government is trying to stop that from repeating itself?
It is kind of trying, but not in a good way that it should be. They are trying, but being selective. and targeting an individual. Why am I saying so? If it's a real thing that the measures were issued and they were made for everyone and to prevent such kind of things, the same day that the measures were issued, I don't know, it was the next day, there was a meeting to be in Kisii, Keberigo, for the deputy president. It was cancelled. The same day, the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga was holding a meeting there. So it's like, when did he issue a letter to the area OCS requesting for the meeting?
That,
he didn't.
Mr. Zach, Raila had his meeting, his occasion, Mr. Zach. The DP, his didn't happen, and the reason was that the security apparatus from that place were not informed. Okay, your concern could be that you're not really sure whether Raila asked for permission or not. But again, on the content of that letter, was it written anywhere that it will be made public whether Okech has asked for permission or not?
My brother, I want to bring for you something that we need to understand. A little bit of it. Before I get you to the content of these letters and we talk about one thing that is very critical. We must not, by any chance, as a country, get loose to a level that we can get back to 2007 when we lost life, there is a destruction. And any other measure that can be taken to contain what can precipitate or can eventually become the post-election violence that we realized in 2007, that must be met with every possible action. Because as a Kenyan, I do not really want to go back there. Two, there were things that were made to ensure this does not happen. That is why we have the Cohesion Integration Act.
Cohesion
and Integration Act, which is chaired by somebody who totally does nothing, and I can tell you is never prosecuted anybody. So for utterances that can really cause mayhem and cause chaos, that has to be dealt with. But applications of law must be equal. We are all equal in the face of law. So that is why when I come to sit here, I will be having my honest opinion and put my politics aside. I will be supporting the Keleweke fictional Tanga, but when I sit here, I will be giving my honest. There is unjust and equal application of law. If you look at what is here, and even if you look at it back before, way before the one that we have right now, even on the containment measures of COVID, the meetings that were allowed to happen go against the containment measures, and others are denied because they were not adhering to containment measures. Which, for me, I thought that was an equal application of law, which is happening today. So I feel as a common Kenyan that for us to be able to keep peaceful, because ukifinya mtu sana aona mmefinya kesho ataamka.
Many thanks. We take a quick commercial break. As we come back, we shall be looking into the content of the Public Order 2020 from the National Security Advisory Council. Mr. Zach Babere Mosabi and Mr. Amos Okech are taking us through this discussion tonight as we look into all these contentious matters that have been arising, where one camp or one side of the political side talks of being sidelined or there is injustice, while the other ones are talking of the law is being followed. Where is the truth? Remember, whatever happens in this show is not the official position of CAC TV, but the opinions of our panelists. Keep it on CAC TV. That is your opinions, not our position. Ni kama umevua mse.
Huyo atakuja.
With COVID-19 pandemic, there are emerging issues. Relationships, family issues, emotional challenges like anxiety and depression, lack of basic necessities like food, house rent, and such. This is the reality on the ground. And therefore, even with the eventual reopening of the economy, it's not going to be a grand comeback, but rather we need to be ready for a gradual process of recovery.
Consequently, the need for sustained mission to the needy remains. So far, we have been able to reach to 32,000 families through the Adopt a Family initiative. We appreciate everyone who has contributed to this effort through the pay bill number and through the local churches across the country in relieving the suffering of thousands.
God giving us another day, we appeal to you to continue partnering with PCA Mission Department by expressing our extraordinary kindness. For kindness goes with hospitality, and hospitality has a great reward.
And therefore it is amazing how you've continued to support us in this mission of love and kindness. And I urge and humbly ask all of you to continue contributing in kind through our churches and also through our pay bill number 689549. The account name, you still put your name. Let us continue demonstrating our unusual kindness at these unusual times. God bless you all.
Welcome back and many thanks for tuning in to Power Brief on CAC TV, as tonight we discuss the public order standoff the year 2020, few months before the general election of 2022. It's not just a general election but a succession politics where it is believed that, though there are those ones who do not believe, but constitutionally President Uhuru Kenyatta is to retire come the year 2022. This paves the way for others to come in. But at the same time, we are having the issue and the matter of the BBI report and the BBI campaign that has dragged us so far due to the COVID pandemic and other known reasons. And tonight we look into the contents, the implications of the new public order, because as it has been brought out, we are seeing a number of political factions are having different feelings and having different opinions towards it. And that's why Mr. Zach and Mr. Amos Okesh are with us to help us demystify and to understand deeper what the public order contains. Gentlemen, before we went for a break, we had looked into the pros, the cons, whom is this thing likely targeting, or what is it targeting? Is it targeting peace or an individual? But briefly, when we looked at what Joseph Kinyua, the head of public service, came up with, reading on behalf the statement of the National Security Advisory Council, someone comes out and questions, even though you have given your part that the DP may be sidelined in one or another. But when you look at the composition of the National Security Advisory Council, the DP is a member, an automatic member. And Mr. Okech, sometimes someone may want to know how comes his allies or even himself are coming out maybe to say that not justice is not being done, this thing is retrogressive, while he's a member of the NSAC.
My brother, I want to tell you something, that unless you are visiting Jerusalem, you would understand that the Deputy President of Republic of Kenya has only remained with the name, but the functionality of the office is done. And this has been done in many occasions, and we realized when by the time that the government decided to bring a chief super minister, who I understand that role would be played well by the second in command, who would really see the coordination of the work of the ministers, of the cabinet secretaries. So if that happened, and we've seen in many occasions where the deputy president is not accorded with the respect that it deserves as a country. And for this, there are many reasons from both sides of the divide can tell you why they feel, because they will say, oh, the deputy president started early campaign and he was warned by the president, and no, he don't really want to now pick this instruction from his boss. And from the other end, there's somebody who's just developing his cause, and probably you can't be in a system and you don't have a vision. If you're in the politics and you don't have a vision, my friend, you need to go for a church. You be a pastor somewhere or a bishop. So he has a vision, and he's pursuing his vision. Sometimes the vision that he has may contract.
Even pastors and bishops, I believe,
sometimes
they
have visions.
Not sometimes, they must have a vision.
So sometimes I look at what is happening, and if you look at that act, that order, that was the statement and the order which was inserted, which is more specifically is to hurt the deputy president.
Now, leave it at that. I'll not want to get Zach's opinion over the same, because he has actually expressed it. And here, when we look at each and most of the politicians are really concentrating on the part of holding meetings, who is being given opportunity to hold meetings and who is not being given opportunity to hold meetings. And at the same time, it's viewed that this thing is skewed and it is directed towards a particular person or particular persons. But let's read part 1. I'll do that part where it says that all public meetings and public processions shall be held in strict compliance with Section 5 of the Public Order Act, that is caption 56, Laws of Kenya. The convener or any person intending to hold a public meeting or a public procession, 1, should notify the officer commanding station, that is OCS, such as intent, at least 3 days, but not more than 14 days before the proposed date of the public meeting or procession. B, be prepared throughout the meeting or procession shall assist the police in the maintenance of peace and order at the meeting or procession. And then C, obey all orders given to him or her by the OCS or any police officer of the above rank of inspector. And then D, at all times bind themselves to peaceful and non-violent and shall keep to the designated places of public meetings or public processions. So as we look into that, Mr. Zach, from A to D, which part there is really maybe targeting a particular individual, or it has indicated it's for someone?
You see, there is this order of part C, which says, obey all orders given to him or her by the OCS, or any police officer above the rank of inspector. Where the OCS, the inspector, receives command from the so-called the deep state, or from a particular body.
Deep state in our context here on Public, it doesn't exist, personally I do not know about it. Exactly. We cannot discuss it because we don't know it.
No,
but we know of the DCI, we know of the DPP and all those government agencies, because even if you call those people who are alleged to be of the deep state, they talk it doesn't exist. So here we want to establish, Zach, where does this thing maybe disfavors an individual?
The part of C, which I have said, the OCS or the inspector can call off even the meeting anytime, actually, because when you are given an orders and the orders they feel like you are not following them, they may come up and say you are not following the orders. To us, in that part, I can say as me, where I sit, like it is really targeting the other party that is complaining, the DPs, where you saw it happening from the past as Amos has said in the COVID. They can decide and say, no, you people are not following the rules. And the OCS or the inspector can announce that the meeting is dissolved, and that is it. So they have they could have come out clear and say at least, yes, you obey the order, but upon obeying the order, they give something that curbs those orders. Which orders are you going to obey? Which particularly orders? If I'm going to conduct a meeting, which kind of orders? Will people cheer me up? Is that a disruption? Am I causing insecurity there? So that's the kind of, they're not clear on that.
Thank you, Mr. Zach. Let's also hear from Mr. Okesh, from A to D, where he feels or he has seen a part of it that really is not fair or just. to a particular individual politician.
I wish we would really also be able to have the Public Order Act, the way it is, and the part 3 of it.
We shall get there. We are going
and
to
probably
it one by one.
And probably that is, I'm looking at, because Mr. Kinyua incited or invoked the article the way it is. And if we look to part C that my brother Sak had mentioned, that is not how it is within the Act. The function of why do we, the Act is very clear, and I mentioned to you earlier that the Act is very clear. You notify the police. The freedom of association is entrenched in the Constitution, and nobody can take that away. Freedom of association is entrenched. So the public order should not be used in a manner that look like it infringes that freedom. But again, I'm looking at the activities that resulted into this. Were they threat? Because the only instant, and if you look at that, the reason why, if you look at obeying order, order is one to cancel the meeting as it was done. So when the meeting is cancelled, then it means the regulator or the officer must give a reason. Which reason? Sometimes there's a threat. That is all those things that may make a meeting be cancelled. But if you look at this statement, I can confirm to you, without fear and without looking at my political alienation, that it was killed. Because OCS can now give directive. We are not giving this. What the reason we are feeling the things that are going to happen here is not good. And actually, the police has the role to ensure there is law and order. Have they come or do their work and realize that there is a chaos? Because I am not really finding this goodly intended. On that section, the other parts are really good. Notify the police, because the notified means the rivals will not really have the same venue which was intended to, or there is a peace, the police can be able to be present within the meeting to ensure there is law and order. So those are other things. But now, obey all order. That tells you the police we are getting back to where you get a permit from the police to hold a meeting.
Now, there is something here, and it's a very funny thing, because it will bring Zach very prominently. That is a part of part 2. Let me read and then invoke an example. That any person who so elects to attend or participate in a public meeting and or procession shall, pursuant to the law and in particular section 5 of the Public Order Act, A, exercise a high sense of civic duty and responsibility and not be in possession of any weapon. B, at all times bind themselves to be peaceful and non-violent and shall keep to the designated places of public meetings or public processions. And then C, report to the relevant authority incidents of hate speech, incitement to violence, ethnic contempt, or any other offense. And then D, respect the freedom of expression of other people. E, not abuse, exclude, demean, stereotype, or profile other people. And then F, not propagate insurgency and socioeconomic hostility between Kenyans. Then G, maintain strict observance of the law for the safety and well-being of everyone present. Sometime back in campus, Zach knows this story very well, where students were agitated in a way. And then when they were agitated, they did whatever they did, which is called destruction of property, but according to students, this is how they call it. Then a certain group of students were picked and suspended on the grounds that they served as inciters. And some of the people were sitting in the panel, the disciplinary panel, who are like on the side of the students, were asking, Zach is above 18 years. Okechi is above 18 years. So how comes you're suspending Zach? And then in the claim that he incited Okechi, these are all grown-ups. Now how comes? If it is to do away with these students, you do away with them. If it is to leave, you leave all of them. This issue of incitement, how does it come in most instances?
The incitement, actually, you can see what you have read. If you pick about not abuse, exclude, or demean, stereotype, or profile other people. That's what they're trying to talk about, the incitement. But the incitement comes in, they're trying, okay, according to the act, they're trying to bring it in a way that the person who will be in the podium, or even not in the podium, but you have attended the meeting. When I try to tell you, that's why I said about the cheering up a person. And you mention something which is, or you are opposing the other party, and you get that support, they will call it incitement. When you are speaking, like you are bringing up the issue of like in campus, this means the person who was speaking, telling the student this is wrong, this is right. If he doesn't agree, if you are being honest, but the outcome comes whereby you have received the support and you have received the feedback in your podium is so welcoming, they will take it as an incitement. And let me tell you this, as my friend Amos said, the Hustler Nation. The Hustler Nation, the tag Hustler, it's really growing up, and it is kind of not going to stop anytime soon. So the moment somebody will stay on the podium and say we the hustler and them the dynasties, here is our government that you are coming up with. Do you know somebody will take that statement according to the act as an incitement of the hustlers and some people the dynasties? But when you ask now where we have left to defend ourselves is by when you say we are inciting the dynasties, we'll just simply ask you who are the dynasties. Simply, maybe you know them. That's why you are trying to say we should limit in the way of how the podium is handled. So my point comes there. This is something that you have sidelined. This is something that when you have capped the meeting, you should go there and do it like a church choir. You sing, you say good things, you don't touch on another part where you see that the government is going wrong. You should just be so nice. But the moment you mention anything, it will come in for you. This happened in the same thing, like that's why Amos said that if these rules could have come, the regulations could have come time before this. Look at the BBI. I want you to remember one day in Narok. Not only Narok, in Kitui. In Narok, somebody said the people who should own the lands of this area, they should be Maasais.
Don't mention communities, just maybe talk of particular communities.
In Kitui, somebody said, if you are not invited to this meeting, why are you coming? No, nothing has ever been done according to that. That's why that body that was made, it is not working, and I support him. It is not working.
Many things. Now, because of time, there are two other things that are very crucial here, and this is about the media, where we are seated, and that's why you're even seeing myself trying to stop some of the mentioning that Okesh or even Zach is trying to bring out. Part 4 is talking of that all media outlets shall be held responsible for all the content that they publish and or broadcast, like even what we're doing right now here. Pursuant to Section 62 of the National Cohesion and Integration Act, as read together with the guidelines for monitoring hate speech in the electronic media issued by the National Cohesion and Integration Commission accordingly. Now, see what the media is supposed to do here, and even our viewers have to be very particular so that when they see this not going this direction and then it's never acted upon or it's acted upon, they have a point to refer to. A, not publish words intended to incite feelings of contempt, hatred, hostility, violence, or discrimination against any person, group or community on the basis of ethnicity or race. And then B, desist from providing platform to hate mongers, inciters, and tribalists. And then C, practice responsible and conflict-sensitive reporting. And then D, endeavor to air programs that promote respect, national unity, and cohesion, like the way Power Brief is doing. Now, on this part of media, and I want you people to assess us, be very honest from what even the government itself has talked about. Do you think The media has played a good role towards ensuring fairness and broadcast of content that promote cohesion, or it's been something else that has led even to this level of the National Security Advisory Council to offer this direction?
My brother, I need to be very honest with myself.
Only with yourself?
With myself,
Yes.
and I will speak from my heart. The media has done their work. And I can realize in the most occasions, media stood strong and stood bold to give us the actual. And even from the recent cases, we talked about the corruption in government institutions. It's the media. Some of us, we learned these things for the first time in the media. So I want to be very honest, the Kenyan media has done their work. The only problem that we have in this country is that we need to box the media to a corner so that it can serve the purpose of a certain interest. And I want to be very honest with you. Back towards last election, when we had other individuals grouping themselves as racist and all that, we realized that we had a blackout in Kenya, and many media suffered because of that. There were almost loss of job because there was no... And then if you look at the law, the freedom of the media is also enshrined, and probably as much as we also have to be cautionary in terms of what we report, because it is a civic duty of all Kenyans, all people from all sort of sectors, to ensure that Kenya is peaceful, and that is not compromisable. And whoever is doing something in his level of capacity must ensure that what I'm doing, we must leave this Kenya as one, as much as a duty as a journalist and also as a media. You have a duty to inform, which is entrenched in the constitution, because we have all the right to get information, which the media does so well. But on the other end, we have to also exercise a role, which is very important for us. If Kenya is burning, even the media do not have a job. So
that's true. Mr. Zach, we come in on this other part. I think it's the last part, and that is the social media. That all social media users shall be held individually liable for all content on their social media profile pursuant to the National Cohesion and Integration Act, as read together with the guidelines on prevention of dissemination of the undesirable, bulk and premium rate political messages and political social media content via electronic communication network. In that regard, every social media user shall ensure that all their content is written in a language that avoids a tone and words that constitute hate speech, ethnic contempt, and incitement to violence, harassment, abuse, and or defamation. On this part, we've seen the complaints have really been dwelling so much only on hii mambo ya mikutano ya rally, which I know a lot of politicians are really complaining on that.
Yeah.
But on this part of social media, don't you think the government was also justified to come up with that? Because he has talked of the mainstream media on the social media that I even know.
Yeah.
This morning you've posted something. I can see Mr. Okesh is also busy posting something in preparation for 2022.
yes.
How about that part?
That part, yes, they came out clear, but to some extent, they should have explained further. As I keep on saying, the act is not very much explained. Maybe for me, not being a lawyer, I may not understand so many things. But for a social media person, that's an individual like you and me. If I post something which I've spoken, I've come out clear and said things as they are, and it's a reality, and I'm hitting or I'm targeting a certain body, they may treat it as hate speech, but it's limiting my freedom of expression, my freedom of speech. How will they gauge to know the language? My language won't be your language. How will they understand to know if my language is polite or not polite? I don't have to say kindly, please. I have to say it in the language that every person will understand, that I'm not satisfied with a certain content. I'm not satisfied with the way the government is running things. For instance, if I come up and complain and say that, by now our media houses are being targeted. And it is not good for our nation. And we will stand up and support them for this impunity. That kind of a thing, somebody will say I'm inciting the media houses. If I come up and say now our deputy president should be respected, as being treated with the people in a bad manner, and the president should warn up and come up clear and tell the Kenyans what is happening. Somebody will be at my door saying, hey, man, you are using a hate speech. So they should come out clear and give us, not limit us in our act of expression. Give us the freedom of expression, freedom of speech. We have to talk. This is our nation. We have to protect our nation. We have, I usually tell my friends that we have our kids. One day you will be a parent if you are, and those your kids will have, your children will have the kids. So we have to create a nation whereby it's favorable for them. They will express themselves well. What the media will not be able to say in person, they should say it out and it reach the authorities.
Now, on the parting shot, because of time, we've had our discussions, and from Zach and also from Mr. Okesh, you both seem to agree with what the government has come up with, that they are good laws. But there is a feeling, there is something pressing you two gentlemen, that in as much as it is good in words, there is something you feel that in practice it's different, which is right from your end to have such a feeling. But now let's look into the way forward. In 30 seconds each, what do you think? This thing you've said it's good, but there is something that it's still you are feeling it's not right. So I give you your parting shot, as I also give you a parting shot as we come to the end. I usher you in, Mr. Okesh.
My brother, there was something that's very crucial. As much as you want to give me these 30 seconds, I will put it 45. And I say something. Until the politicians, as politicians, start behaving maturely, we will not expect our followers to behave. If we behave abnormally, then our followers will behave abnormally. So this has to start from the top. If the former Prime Minister talk hills of Ruto, calls him a thief, and the deputy Prime Minister calls him to a mganga and all that. So the hate is built up and it trickles down. And the common man down there, their problem has never been even with each other. The hates that you see are hates that are trickled down by the people we support. So until that extent that the leaders that we elect behave, then that is when we will expect a change in the social media and the platform and even locally. Now, my parting shot. A country we live in, Kenya, is a great country. And we lack manners. And the way we handle things, be it economically, be it socially, politically. Kenya would be somewhere so far if our leaders and even the people of this country, because even the people who have problem, people we understand are corrupt, people who are not with fighters, are the same people we still put in the office. So the problem is, as Kenyan, we need to wake up and look at what we want this country to look like and embrace it. Constitution, we have the best constitution. I tell you, we have the best. If you look at even the region that we have the best constitution. But it's never been implemented to the latter. The latter and the spirit of the constitution had never been adhered to. Putting people who are not, who have integrity issues into offices, and they later on claim that they are doing so bad. So we need to be able to act in the spirit and the latter of this constitution, and we will realize.
Many thanks, Mr. Zaki. In a few seconds, your parting shot, brother.
Mine is very short, actually. What I will urge is that let us be honest to ourselves. This is our nation that we are building. We don't want to encounter what happened in 2007. And this will come up with, will maybe agitated by what is happening currently in the country, by people targeting other parts that they should not be targeted. Other leaders who know they are powerful, they have powers, they have the machineries, they should be honest to the common mwananchi. They should also be honest and respect all leaders, and let our measures that are being brought and any rules and regulations be adhered to everyone, not selectively. And make sure that when you are coming up with something, don't use the tag of another party to demean or to not respect the people who are in power.
Many thanks, gentlemen. We've come to the end of our discussion tonight. We've been looking at the public order standoff that is really eliciting a lot of mixed reactions from different quarters of the political circles in Kenya. We are doing this because we are looking into the focus of the 2022 general elections, which is actually a succession politics. Mr. Zach and Mr. Amos Okech have taken us through this discussion, and we've also had an opportunity to look into the content of the statement that was given out by the head of public service, that is Joseph Kinyua. We appreciate your overwhelming responses on our social media platforms. From me, Cornelius Omuse, I wish you a very good night.